Part 91. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 902. His precious apprentice was alive and kicking, and Yunjin and the lonely ghost were also dealt with, which greatly weakened the spirit of the revenge organization. Kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Joseph stared. Dongfang Xiao, what are you talking about? If not Yunju, how could Yunjin treat her so gently and carefully? What's more, they have confirmed that the resurrected Yunju is no different from before. In the flash of lightning, Joseph suddenly thought of Yunjin's extremely high attainments in the soul. Could it be that he randomly found a soul and put it in Yunju's body? You are despicable. Joseph was so angry that he vomited a mouthful of blood. Okay, you and Yunjin planned it, and you also released the news, in order to catch us all. He looked stern and said, you won't win. Even if there are predators, Yunjin will die. Dean Dongfang still smiled. Whatever you think, you can't see it anyway. Yu Xian slowly opened her eyes. Joseph's face suddenly became distorted. He kept pinching his neck, his face turned purple, and he couldn't breathe. This is a state of life worse than death. Not dead, but suffocated. Awesome, awesome. Dean Dongfang was somewhat envious of Yu Xian's ability, and he asked again, where is Qing Qing? Going to the Yu family. Yu Xian responded, she has improved a lot. Let's see if she can break the Yu family's forbidden area. Okay. Dean Dongfang nodded, I'll handle the rest of the affairs first. I'll trouble you to keep an eye on these traitors first, and then I can get more information. Yu Xian hummed, okay. Dean Dongfang closed the door and went out. After leaving the island in the middle of the lake, he met the deputy dean who had been waiting for him for a long time. The deputy dean immediately stepped forward. Dean, I feel something is wrong. Dean Dongfang glanced at him. What's wrong? Can you tell me? Dean, when you recruit a disciple, you have a higher eye than the top, and ordinary S-class people can't get into your eyes. The deputy dean scratched his head. Why is it that when I saw Miss Yunjiu today, it was very inconsistent with the rumors? The 9 disciples on the top of the clouds are extremely mysterious. Except for Yuan Mingqi and Zisu, the true identities of the other 7 disciples have not been announced to the public. But there is no doubt that each of these 9 disciples has their own unique skills. Otherwise, he would not be favored by the Lord of the Clouds. Today, the vice president met Yunjin for the first time. He always felt that they were not worthy of their name. It's rare that you have gained your brain today. Dean Dongfang snorted coldly, I put my words here. Yunjin is not allowed to enter Eternal College in the future. As the longest-serving dean in the history of Eternal College, Dongfang Xiao was respected by everyone, and even MRS Huo received his guidance. Although his combat effectiveness is not as good as Yunjin's, with a wave of his hand, tens of thousands of students from the Eternal Academy will obey the call and return. If there is anyone in the entire free continent that can rival the Holy Light Judgment Institute in terms of comprehensive combat power, it is only the Eternal Academy. The deputy dean's heart skipped a beat. Dean, what about your apprentice? I suspect that Yunjin made her a fool. Get lost. Dean Dongfang was furious. If a dog can't spit out ivory, this year's year-end bonus will be deducted. Associate Dean. What did he say wrong and why was he so hurt? On the other side, the Yu family. Sci-fi entered the Yu family as Yu Lingzhao's classmate. Knowing that she had helped Yu Lingzhao when she was in the Eternal Continent, MRSU was very kind to her. Lingzhao, take Miss Si for a walk and stay at Yu's house for dinner later. Yu Lingzhao nodded lightly and left the hall with Si. Si turned his head and saw a picture of a beauty hanging in the pavilion in the garden. This is my aunt. Yu Lingzhao followed her gaze and explained, my aunt died early, 20 years ago. My grandfather is very sad, and his body has also suffered from physical problems. He is still unable to walk. Si nodded, I've heard that she was once the most beautiful woman in Free Continent. Yes, Yu Lingzhao sighed, she hugged me when I was a child. I remember her as a very gentle person. It's a pity that beauties have always been short-lived. I fucking had no interest in Yuli, and she was even more anxious to see Yu Huixiu. I'm going to the forbidden area. She put down her hat. Do you want to go with me? Yu Lingzhao didn't really believe it. Can you open the ban on returning to Sushu? Of course I fucking blinked. I'm the only one who can fight with her. She doesn't like anyone else. Yu Lingzhao still didn't believe it, but he still spoke, I'll go with you. The two arrived at the forbidden area smoothly. The guards guarding the entrance to the forbidden area did not see them. Yu Lingzhao asked, can your evolver ability allow you to become invisible? It's not the ability of the evolver, it's the power of yin yang and the five elements. I fucking bypassed the guards and came to the gate. Just when Yu Lingzhao was about to tell her to be careful not to be bounced out, he saw the door being opened. He followed forward expressionlessly, completely convinced. Inside is an open courtyard, with a bamboo forest on the right, deep and quiet. I fucking slowly turned his head. Is there no one in the forbidden area? This is impossible. Yu Lingzhao frowned. I can confirm that after Huixiu entered the forbidden area 4 years ago, he never came out again. Hey, you, if you don't come out, you won't be kind. I fucking crossed his arms. We haven't seen you for so long. If you don't come out, hurry up and fight with me. Still silent. I fucking's eyes narrowed, then walked inside when he suddenly heard an exclamation. Her figure was like the wind, and her fingers stretched out like lightning, instantly controlling the owner of the voice. Who are you? Where is Yu Huixiu? This is an old woman. She held the broom and was in shock. You don't even want to know where Miss Huixiu is. I won't tell you. Mother Yu. It was Yu Lingzhao who broke the deadlock. She is a trustworthy person. She is Hui Shui's friend. Friends, the old woman didn't believe it immediately. With Miss Hui Shui's temperament, she doesn't have many friends. I fucking let go of her hand and patted her back very gently. It's true that we are not friends. The old woman's expression changed. She laughed. We are friends of life and death. The old woman stared at the girl, and suddenly an idea flashed in her mind. Are you the rival that Miss Hui Shui mentioned? No, your age is not right for you. Yu Huixiu's parents died early, and her temper was therefore cold. The old woman has watched Yu Huixiu grow up since she was a child. Yu Huixiu is also the closest to her and will tell her about things that happened in Eternal College. She knew that there was someone who could equal Yu Huixiu, and she also knew that they formed a team. It's a long story. I had some accidents. Now is not the time to talk about it. I fucking said, where is the person named Yu? Upon hearing this question, the old woman's lips twitched and she suddenly knelt down with a plop. Yu Lingzhao's eyes changed slightly. Mother Yu, what are you doing? I have been responsible for taking care of Miss Hui Shui's daily life. A few years ago, I also came in when she entered the forbidden area for retreat. The old woman took a deep breath. She was practicing crazily, and I advised her to stop and rest. She said she couldn't stop. She was alone and she couldn't stop no matter what. I fucking's heart trembled. Yes, she left at that time too. As the last person, how much should Yu Huixiu endure? It wasn't until three years ago that Miss Hui Shui said she had found a way to enter the Eternal Continent and said she was going to take revenge and there was no need to wait for her. The old woman's voice trembled badly. I'll come the next day. Bring her food and she disappears. The forbidden area was set up by Yu Huixiu. She is just an ordinary person and cannot contact the outside world at all. Therefore, everyone, including the Yu family elders group, only thought that Yu Huixiu had been in retreat. I fucking looked stern, disappeared. Yunying also strayed into the Eternal Continent from the East Ridge Sea and was trapped for 5 years. However, Yin Baikan appeared on the Sea of Free State, and then disappeared suddenly. This led her to deduce that there was a place on Earth that could lead to the eternal continent. Fishing boats and planes often disappear in these locations, which are known as the world's unsolved mysteries. Some netizens joked that these missing people went to another world. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be a prophecy. But how you get in and how you get out are beyond your control. I'm afraid it's more than just disappearing. The old lady burst into tears as she spoke. Her fingers trembled again and she took something out of her pocket. This is the amulet that Miss Huixia carried with her. The amulet was broken the night after she disappeared. Hush, don't draw conclusions too early until the ending. The plot may reverse at any time, wait until I reveal the foreshadowing one by one. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 903. Sci-fi looked at the broken amulet in the old woman's hand in silence. Her fingers trembled and she didn't reach out for a while. She recognized this amulet, and Yu Huixia never left it. The first time she fought with Yu Huixia was because she was really naughty before she was 10 years old. She picked up Yu Huixia's amulet and wanted to play with it more. No fight, no acquaintance. It wasn't until both sides were bruised and swollen that Ye Banlan and Lu Qingning took him away to apply medicine. Later, Yu Huixia told her that she had this amulet since she was born. At that time, auspiciousness descended from the sky on the Yu family, attracting several birds to surround them. The Yu family believes that Yu Huixia is a genius who will be able to lead the Yu family to the top. Yu Huixia also said that when people are alive, the talisman remains, but when people die, the talisman is broken. Now, the amulet is in pieces. Yu Lingzhao and Yu Huixia have a good relationship, and they obviously know the importance of amulets. His face instantly turned pale. Is it possible that Huixue is in the eternal continent? This is not impossible. Even though Yu Huixia's strength is already in the first echelon in Free Continent, she is simply vulnerable in the Eternal Continent, a magical continent where spiritual practitioners are everywhere. That day when they met Venerable Mang Huang, they had no power to fight back, which was a good answer to this question. Si pursed her lips tightly and took a step back. Impossible. She would rather believe that Yu Huixia just disappeared. But the broken amulet made it impossible for her to convince herself. I don't think it's possible, so I've been waiting for Miss Huixia to come back. The old woman wiped her tears and raised her head. Miss Huixia will talk to me about her two companions and a mortal enemy. I don't know. Miss, your name is? Si said softly, I am Si. Si helped the building to collapse. It turns out to be Miss Fucking. The old woman handed her the broken amulet. I'll give you Miss Huixue's things. As long as Miss Huixue doesn't say she's gone, I will always wait here. Hold her. Okay, Si responded in a low voice, his eyes gradually becoming sharper. Don't tell the rest of the Yu family about this matter. I didn't come here today, and Huixu is still in retreat. Do you understand? The old woman looked serious. I understand. Don't tell the truth. Your Yu family must have been infiltrated by the revenge organization. Si squeezed the amulet tightly. I'm leaving first. Yu Lingzhao was startled. You. He still couldn't ask the words, are you okay? Judging from her calm look, it really didn't look like anything was wrong, but... Yu Lingzhao looked away and sat down. Mother Yu, please tell me everything that happened to Huixu in the past few years. The old woman wiped away her tears and said, okay. At the same time, on top of the clouds. When Yunjin rushed to Yu Li's side, she was lying on the bank of the death swamp, unconscious, with injuries all over her body. He had no choice but to immediately wrap her up in clothes and return to the top of the clouds. It is very rare that all the disciples at the top of the clouds have gathered together today. Yu Ji unhurriedly stepped forward. Master, how did the little junior sister become like this? She won't die again, right? Tan Jingmo glanced at Yu Jian, whose acting skills were outstanding. The Night Witch probably thought she was doing a great job. Yoon-jin pursed her lips and said in a cold voice, "No. Master, it's all my fault." Mang Suan-K was ashamed. If it weren't for me, the master would not have left my junior sister, and my junior sister would not have been attacked by a revenge organization. I don't blame you for this. It's because I underestimated the revenge organization's plan. Yoon-jin didn't have time to pay attention to the others. I'm going to heal Xiaju. During this period, Xian-che is protecting the law and no one is allowed to come in. Yuli was seriously injured this time. Even if he tried his best to treat her, she wouldn't be able to recover in 10 days and a half. The death swamp is poisonous, and the toxins have already entered the internal organs at this moment. Yoon-jin frowned. Yuli fell into the swamp of death. How could she return to the shore? This question can only be answered after she wakes up. Yes, Master. Mang Suan-K responded respectfully and followed Yoon-jin. Zisu still had a gentle look on her face. I'm going to find some medicinal materials for my junior sister. As soon as the two left, Yu-jian stopped pretending. You really deserve it. She can stay and continue to protect the little junior sister from disasters. Yoon-ying asked, where is Xiaju? Tan Jingmo said, still at Huo's house. Well, let's go. Yoon-ying loosened the collar of his clothes. Go find her and give her a meal. I can no longer look directly at my alias Yunliu. Raphael was very annoyed. Yoonjin, this piece of shit, why should I take his surname? I want to change my surname. Every time he watches the TV series The Demon, he will curse the immortal in the TV series. When the truth unfolded in front of him, he wanted to slap Yoonjin to death with the book. Why does it have to be Yoonjin's Yoon? Can't it be my Yoon? Yoon-ying glanced at a few people and said calmly, no need to change, it's good to have my last name. Raphael. Tan Jingmo. Tsukimi. In fact, senior brother has wanted to be their father for a long time, right? 30 minutes later, the Huo family. Yoon-ying raised his head and glanced at the stairs. She locked herself up as soon as she came back and didn't even let you in. Well, she didn't tell me the reason. Yu Zion shook his head slightly, but I can guess it. Tan Jingmo frowned. Junior sister went to Yu's house and she became like this. Could it be that? Yoon-ying hit the nail on the head. Miss Huixu of the Yu family is not here. Yu Jian raised a question. Yu Huixu. Several other people were not quite sure about the relationship between the two. Well, Yu Huixu. Yoon-ying's voice was light. We can tie with Xiaoju. They are part of the Eternal Quartet along with Miss Turning the Lan of the Ye family and Miss Jingning of the Lu family. Aning and I grew up together and were childhood sweethearts. Tan Jingmo tilted her head and spoke in a very soft voice. She and Miss Lanlan from the Ye family had the same interests and always played together. Then one day she mysteriously said to me, they picked up a little girl. At that time, Ye Banlan was 7 years old and Lu Qingning was 9 years old. They had already taken on the responsibility of taking care of 5-year-old Si fucking. Xiao Qing at that time was not what she is now. Tan Jingmo said, suddenly laughing. When I went to find Aning, she looked at me like a ferocious beast and wanted to fight with me. She said she was afraid that I would steal her sister. I had the idea of teasing her and told her slowly that she would call me brother-in-law from now on. She chased me all the way down the street. Yu Jian gave him a look of disdain. You really deserve it? Tan Jingmo shrugged. I didn't know that one day she would be taken to the top of the clouds by Yoonjin. Don't you remember that when Yoonjin called us together, my junior sister's face turned dark when she saw me? Yoon-ying was silent for a while, and then he said calmly, she entered the top of the clouds at the age of 10. She is still very naughty and always likes to tease people. Such a child has a good personality. After a pause, his voice deepened. It was only when I was 19 that everything turned upside down. This year, Ye Banglan and Lu Qingning left one after another. The time difference between before and after is only 1 month. Later, The junior sister practiced even harder. This time it was Yuan Mingqi who spoke. He said slowly, she used to avoid the senior brother's training, but then I saw her rushing to meet the senior brother's fist, training myself to the point of being bruised and bruised again and again. From the narratives of several senior brothers and sisters, Yu Xian also completely pieced together Sci-Fi's past experiences. She was exactly as he had imagined her. It was just more vivid, and it made him feel more distressed. She was once an ordinary child. From the high-spirited youth to the calm state now. How much growth does death bring? It's painfully mature. There's always a light in her eyes when she smiles. But he knew that her heart was full of holes. Later, even the light was gone. Growth is always a process that requires learning to heal yourself. Let her calm down for a while. Yunying pressed her eyebrows. She is very stubborn and no one can persuade her. Upstairs, in the bedroom. Sci lay on the bed, curled up into a small ball. She held a photo in her hand. The photo is a group photo of 4 girls, Ye Banglan, Lu Qingning, Yu Huixiu and her. At this moment she was having some auditory and visual hallucinations. At this moment she saw them again and heard their voices. Ye Banlan touched her head. It's okay. Just follow my sister from now on. She will always be with you. He won't die, Lu Qingning said towards her. Xiaoqing, we are the eternal team and we will keep going. It was Yu Huixiu's cold eyebrows again. Before I defeat you, you must not die in the hands of others first, and the same goes for me. Looking at the last group photo of 4 people in front of him, Sci said softly, liar. Good morning. Some babies have already discovered my foreshadowing, so smart. Oh. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 904. She kept her promise and survived, but what about them? Sci leaned on the head of the bed and slowly slid down. She hugged the quilt with her head covered in it, and whispered, liar. She was still holding the photo of the 4 of them. There are 4 words written on the back of the photo. Second to none. If this was the price of being unparalleled in the world, she would rather not have it. She just wanted them to be around. A day passed, and the door to Sci's room was still closed. Mrs. Huo knocked on the door several times, but got no response, which made her a little worried. She kicked Huo Yangxing. As a big brother, you are useless at all. You don't even know what happened to your sister. You are still the intelligence chief of 0 and T18. I am ashamed of you. Huo Yangxing. He was shot while lying down. I'll go to the kitchen to prepare dinner first, Mrs. Huo added. Qing has been too tired these past few days. We must let her come down to eat later. After saying that, she left in a hurry. Huo Yangxing sighed. His cousin was too talented, so this door was sealed by Sci, and he couldn't even get in. After knocking on the door again to no avail, Huo Yangxing had no choice but to go downstairs to the pavilion at the back and ask Yu Jian and others for help. You still have to let people keep an eye on junior sister. Junior sister's mental power is very strong, even stronger than mine. Yu Jian looked worried. If her spirit breaks down, the consequences will be disastrous. She had a mental breakdown once, just 10 years ago, Yunying said lightly. Fortunately, Lao Er and I were there at the time and worked together to suppress it. But her explosive power caused serious injuries to both me and my second child. This shows that no one can compare to the energy in her body. Raphael understood. I asked you why the second child was paralyzed on the bed for so long. I thought he had a fracture. Tan Jingmo's smile did not change. I don't know if my bones are broken, but I will break your legs. Raphael immediately hid behind Yu Xian. He knew he was inferior. I'll go. Uzion stood up. It's been a long time, and we really can't leave her alone any longer. Yujian stood up and wanted to follow, but was stopped by Yunying. He is enough alone. Junior sister trusts him very much. Yes, Yujian was startled. After meeting him, my junior sister will finally show a sincere smile. Let's discuss the next thing, Yunying said in a calm voice. The revenge organization's vitality has been severely damaged this time. With Yunjin and the imposter in front of us, the pressure on us has been relieved. The focus of the mission must still be on the Eternal Continent. The senior brothers and sisters all nodded solemnly. I'll give you 2 months. Yunying raised 2 fingers. You must break through to the Holy Spirit realm. Raphael was trembling. I am not within the range you mentioned, right? He is just a little money-making expert. Old Lu, you are so clumsy. Tan Jingmo sneered. You can take my attack. Do you really think you are powerless? Yunying was too lazy to pay attention to Raphael. The speed of time in the Palace of Eternal Life will be faster, which will be beneficial to your cultivation. The other party is very strong. Don't think that there are only a few spiritual saints such as the Goddess of Death and the Venerable Wilderness. Yujian's eyes moved slightly. Elder brother should know who the leader of the revenge organization is, right? Hearing these words, Yuan Mingqi and Lang Xian both looked at Yunying in surprise. Well, I'm 80% sure. Yunying nodded. After a little testing, I found out that he is the candidate I expected. Raphael was confused. What are you going to say? I'm calling you stupid. Yunying looked at him coldly. Go to the Eternal Continent to practice immediately. If you can't keep up, don't blame me for paralyzing you. Raphael. This world is really too unfriendly. Upstairs, in the bedroom. Yuzion opened the door. The sun had completely set and the room was dark. His night vision is very good and he can see everything around him clearly. The girl hugged the quilt and looked out the window in trance. Yuzion paused and slowly stepped forward. Ching ching. Sci-fi was startled and turned around. It's you. He responded, it's me. She blinked, as if confirming something, and then suddenly hugged him. It was very tight and strong, making him feel like he couldn't breathe. But he didn't reject her, he just patted her back again and again, saying softly, I'm here. He recalled that after she was drunk or had a nightmare, she would always hold him and not let go, for fear that he would leave. She would always kiss him like this, messy and broken, like a lonely beast licking its own wounds. In 2 lifetimes, she has experienced too much. It seems that he can do everything, but every skill is acquired with his life. Others only saw her omnipotence on the surface, so how could they know the pain she had endured over the years? The amulet is broken. After a long silence, Sci-fi finally said, you want to see the person alive, and you want to see the body even if you die. He held her shoulders and looked directly at her. There is no result, let's not jump to conclusions easily. He stretched out his hand, picked up a tissue and slowly wiped away the tears on her face. His voice became softer every inch. Even if you see the corpse, there are still infinite possibilities, right? Look, you are carrying my ashes with you. Why don't I still stand in front of you properly? Sci-fi was stunned for a long time before gently responding, yes. I'm not going to give up, she said. She was carrying bloody human lives on her back, and she still wanted to find them. You can only see people alive, but you can't see corpses even if you are dead. What if she fails? If she fails, what does she have to lose? Relatives, friends, loved ones. She lost too much along the way. But she still has to keep going. Yes, Yuzion smiled, I'm still here. I'll accompany you. I've been hungry all day. How about we go down to eat? Everyone is waiting for you. Sci-fi rubbed his eyes. I'll wash my face, otherwise I will definitely be scolded by my senior brother as a little cat. Yuzion rubbed her head. Go ahead, I'll wait for you. Lobby. Old Madam, Patriarch, Miss Yang Kaiu, Young Master. At this time, Butler Huo hurriedly handed over an edict from the Holy Light Judgment Office. The head of state issued an urgent order that freedom must be completed within 2 months. Jojo Chief Election. All disciples of the 4 major families can participate, but they need to be selected. All selections are fair and just. A referendum of the people of the continent is required, but the head of the Holy Light Judgment has a veto power. 1 vote veto power. Huo Tianwen laughed. What kind of fairness and justice is this? Isn't this just a carrot pit? What's the point of having a referendum on who Adrian wants to be the governor? The selection of this continent chief is just a pawn of Adrian, Huo Yangxing said lightly. The greater the power, the greater the ambition. He wants to rule the entire free continent. The original intention of the Holy Light Judgment was to maintain the order of the free continent so that it would not collapse due to too much freedom and to protect the free continent. In the past few decades, after Adrian took over the Holy Light Judgment, everything he did was contrary to his original intention. What time is it? I'm afraid those spiritual cultivators in the Eternal Continent are going to attack us. Mrs. Huo threw the documents heavily on the table with a cold voice. The Holy Light Judgment still wants to control the free continent. In times of crisis, everyone must die. Does Adrian think he can survive alone? Even under the leadership of Sci-fi, they formed a strong force in the Eternal Continent. But facing the unknown darkness, we are still like a mantis trying to control a chariot. Huo Tianwen frowned, but this is the captain of the continent. The Huo family must send someone to participate. Otherwise, with Adrian's character, he will immediately send cavalry to encircle and suppress us on the charge of the Huo family endangering the free continent. Xie Yangkaiu had the most violent temper. There is no way to directly rebel against this shabby head of state. Just kill him. She made a motion of wiping her neck. It's not feasible. Huo Tianwen shook his head. The capitals of the Holy Light Judgment Office in past dynasties have been protected by them, and they have hundreds of thousands of cavalry under their command. It is not something that our family can resist. If you want to confront Adrian, you must gather the Eternal Academy, the Intercontinental Research Institute and the other 3 major families, including the top of the cloud. The competition for governor will inevitably attract a lot of attention. Mrs. Huo frowned. There are risks but also opportunities. At the banquet, as the elder brother, this time the election for governor for the Huo family is up to you. Before he finished speaking, footsteps sounded. Sci-fi went downstairs, his eyebrows calm. I will participate. I highly recommend The Wandering Earth 2 to everyone. It is the best movie I have seen in the past few years. It is a god in my heart. From the plot to the characters, it is really very good. I spent 3 hours reading it this morning. I will always be moved by the righteousness of my family and country. I also gained some new inspiration for novels, so I quickly took out my notebook to write it down. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 905. There was silence in the hall for a moment. With a swish, all eyes were focused on the girl. Her back was straight, and her eyes were filled with firm belief, which was astonishingly bright. Mrs. Huo was stunned for a moment and stood up suddenly. She looked worried and immediately stepped forward and held Sci-fi's hand. Qing Qing, you finally came out. Why are your hands so cold? What's wrong? Tell Grandma. It's okay, Grandma. Sci-fi comforted Mrs. Huo. I have figured out some things. Qing Qing, the election for the governor of Free Continent is not as simple as you think. Huo Tianwen was also very worried. If you participate, you will be a living target. There are many dangers. Uncle, don't worry. Sci-fi sat down and smiled, but his tone was serious. If I participate, I won't be a target, but a knife. Huo Tianwen looked shocked. You. Xia Yangkai was straightforward and simple, Ching Ching, I believe in you. Before Xia Yu could speak, Xiaobai had already emerged from his arms and said loudly, Juju is the most powerful. Yes, Xia Yu raised his eyes with a lazy expression, Teacher Si has always been able to turn the tide. Since Ching Ching insists, then our Huo family will naturally give our full support. MRS Huo finalized, maybe we can really kill Adrian directly. Si fucking touched his chin thoughtfully, I just heard from my uncle that if we want to overthrow the Holy Light Judgment Office, we need the 4 major families to join forces, plus several other major forces. If that's all it is, it's really not difficult. Huo Tianwen's expression froze for a moment, suspecting that there was something wrong with his ears. No, it's not difficult. It is indeed not difficult. Yu Xian rubbed Si fucking's head, nodded and smiled at the Huo family. Regardless of the other 3 major families, Ching Ching is the one at the top of the clouds. Before the Huo family could react, he dropped a few more bombs very calmly. Ching Ching is also the heir designated by Dean Dongfang of Eternal College and one of the inheritors of the Intercontinental Academy. The next president of the Onmyoji Association will be King King's friend. I have 8 major mineral veins in my hand, so resources are not a problem. With a plop, Huo Tianwen used too much force and broke the stool under his buttocks. He fell to the ground, completely unconscious for a moment. Yu Xian smiled lightly, we are not very hopeful, but we are certain. MRS Huo also looked very dazed, this is it? The amount of information was so overwhelming that she couldn't bear it for a while and became numb. Okay, Huo Tianwen got up, very excited, then my Huo family will take the lead and help Ching Ching board the governor to eradicate the cancer of Adrian. The 7 cavalry units only obeyed the orders of the Führer. They can definitely help Si fucking ascend to the position of head of state. When the crisis comes, the Huo family is willing to be the first to bear the brunt. Thank you, uncle and grandma. Si fucking bowed deeply to several people, I won't let you down, and I will get my parents back, and nothing will happen to us. Get up quickly. MRS Huo supported her, I haven't eaten for a day, call your senior brothers and sisters over, let's get together. Si fucking nodded, okay. Watching her leave, Huo Tianwen was still a little unable to recover. He lowered his voice and said, Mom, you have never thought that those disciples from the top of the clouds can gather in our Huo family, right? Nonsense, MRS Huo said angrily, now your status is even lower, don't talk to me. Huo Tianwen. Over here, in the pavilion by the stream, all the brothers and sisters stood up when they saw Si fucking walking over. Yunying raised his eyebrows, are you alive? Live? Well, Si fucking snorted slightly, let's go and have dinner. Yu Jian followed behind, but hesitated to speak, little junior sister, don't be sad, you still have us. Of course I will not bow my head. Si fucking raised his head slightly and smiled, I have sworn a long time ago. I will live together with their faith. If I die, who will prove that they still lived? Human memory is unreliable, just like a disk. When it is full, some previous things need to be deleted. This era is developing too fast, and those who cannot keep up with the times will be left far behind. Even though they are as talented and beautiful as Ye Banglan and Lu Qingning, 10 years have passed, how many people still remember them? What about 20 or 30 years? Tan Jingmo said softly, well, I can't die. He also promised Lu Qingning that he would leave the continent and travel around the world in the future. This wish must come true. Very good, this is Yunju. Yunying crossed his arms and finally smiled, I'm still thinking that if you really continue to be so decadent, I will have to wake you up. Si fucking glanced at him, I'm not as knowledgeable as you. Raphael immediately complained, little junior sister, senior brother said that your Yun is his Yun, and we all take his surname. This is intolerable. Yes, Yunying curled her lips, her smile unchanged, good children. Si fucking staggered, shocked by Yunying's shamelessness, What's your hobby? She had always regarded Yunying as her brother, but he wanted to be her father. Sci-Fi's fist hardened. When she breaks through to the Holy Spirit realm, the first thing she will do is to beat up Yunying. Late at night, the Revenge Organization headquarters. Conference hall. The young man sat at the head of the long table, tapping his fingers quietly on the table. There was dead silence, no one dared to speak first. Finally, after a long silence, the young man slowly spoke. This operation can be said to be a disastrous failure, an unprecedented failure. In order to kill Yunjiu, several senior officials of Eternal Academy were exposed. They lost contact with Joseph and others. It is conceivable that these people have been controlled by Dongfang Xiao. The young man raised his head, his eyes were cold, and he glanced at each member one by one. It's enough that we have lost our manpower, Yunju is not dead yet. As soon as these words came out, it instantly caused a shocking wave and everyone was in an uproar. With so many god-killing machines dispatched at the same time, how could she not be dead? Yunjiu is back to strength, but our god-killing machine is also changing. Sir, is it? Shut up, the young man said coldly. Yunju is indeed not dead, but he is seriously injured and is in a coma. Then Yunjin also goes into seclusion again and doesn't allow anyone to get close to her. With Yunjin's strength, she will be cured sooner or later. The other members fell silent. The young man was also a little tired. He raised his hand and waved, "Okay, that's it. Everyone needs to keep a low profile. The governor of Free Continent is about to run for office. Everyone in the 4 major families has signed up for me. This is a good opportunity to eliminate most of the people, and they must not miss it again." The members looked solemn and all responded, "Yes, sir." The next day, Eternal Academy. Eternal College has been rebuilt, and the finance department is very heartbroken. Sci-Fi had just arrived at the dean's office building when he saw the finance minister walking out cursing. She coughed slightly, and suddenly remembered that she had caused a lot of damage to the college in the past when she and Yu Huixiu fought, and late at night she saw the finance minister yelling at them that they were not human beings. Sci-Fi came to the trial room. Joseph and the others were still being controlled and unable to move. The results of the interrogation proved that the deaths of Ye Banglan and Lu Qingning were indeed closely related to them. They were also the ones who used their hands and feet when issuing the mission, leading them step by step into the depths of the dangerous place to destroy them. Sci-Fi lowered her eyelashes and looked at Joseph indifferently. She pinched his chin and used force to remove all the bones, causing Joseph to scream in pain. With a click, Sci-Fi pressed him up again. Then there was the sound of cracking bones again. There were constant screams in the room. Just when Joseph was about to collapse, a pill was forced into his mouth, forcing him to wake up. "Wake up!" Sci-Fi rolled up his sleeves and said calmly, "It's not over yet, let's continue. Another round of torture. The pain is overwhelming. Teacher, let me go out and calm down first." Sci-Fi slowly exhaled and turned his head. "You come first." "Okay, take a rest." Dean Dongfang was a little worried. "Don't push yourself too hard." Joseph's eyes were red, he was scared and angry. "Dongfang Xiao, if you want to kill, kill, if you want to cut, then cut into pieces. What's the point of letting a yellow-haired girl torture me? You coward." Yellow-haired girl, Dean Dongfang, who was eating melon seeds, was extremely surprised. "I brought my apprentice to you specifically so that you can kill her." Joseph's eyes widened suddenly, and his expression changed. You. This is Yunju. Who is the person Yunjin is protecting? It's the end of the month. Let's ask Qing Qing and His Majesty for another wave of votes. We still have dozens of votes to break the 4,000 mark. In the final stage, we will maintain the first place. Let me just say a few words. This book is indeed longer than I expected. Including the extras, it may exceed 3 million. In fact, the last book, Ying Huang, did not cut off the big map of the alchemy world, so it should be around 2.8 million. Originally I saw someone saying it was delayed later on, so I cut off a few maps, which was a pity when I thought about it later. Therefore, I will only follow my own outline for this book and will not be swayed by any opinions. If you feel it is procrastinating, we will save it and skip this plot and go straight to the finale. If you feel it is not enough, we will also have extra chapters. From the end of last month to now, my physical condition is not very optimistic, and I am in the final stage, so it is very difficult to write each chapter. I have received various comments about this book. Some people say that it is good at the front and the writing in the back is too outrageous. Some people say that it is only good at the back and the front is ordinary. Everyone has different feelings about reading the book. A is like honey and B is like arsenic. I understand both. Let the data speak for itself. From the time the list was launched to the time when Ching Ching was removed from the list, Ching Ching has been number 1 and has never been surpassed. This is the result of our joint efforts. Thank you all again. Support. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 906. This is information coming from the top of the cloud, there is no way it is false. This is a question that Joseph has never thought through from beginning to end. Before he could ask anything, his jaw was removed again. At this time, he could no longer make a sound. He could only stare silently and struggle wildly. But it's all in vain. SHH, be quiet. Si fucking raised her other hand, pressed it on his head, and smiled slightly. Let me try my third senior sister's ability. It's my first time to use it, and I'm not familiar with it yet. You try it first. Try. Buzz. At this moment, Joseph felt like a sledgehammer was hitting his brain, and his mind went blank. Then he seemed to have fallen into an endless dark universe, falling constantly, his spirit jumping back and forth at the critical point of collapse. In 1 second, Si fucking obtained Joseph's memories from many years ago. She withdrew her hand. But this second, to Joseph, seemed like thousands of years had passed. He was covered in cold sweat and looked at the girl in front of him in horror. Si fucking stood quietly without speaking as she quickly ran through Joseph's memories in her mind. Ye Banglan, Lu Qingning and Yu Huixu appeared in the memory. They are so alive, as if they have always been there. She also saw the Revenge Organization holding a celebration banquet to celebrate finally eradicating the Eternal Four. At this point in time, it was only 1 day apart from the time when the amulet in the old woman's mouth broke into pieces. But just like Yu Jian, she couldn't see clearly who the leader of the Revenge Organization was. The face was very blurry, but she felt a bit familiar. Si fucking slowly opened his eyes and finally said, "Why?" Joseph finally recovered from the severe pain and heard these 3 words. He was stunned, completely unable to understand why Si fucking would ask him that. Why should such outstanding people die because of trash like you? Si fucking asked softly. They all have bright futures and lofty ambitions, why should they be ruined by scum like you? She closed Joseph's chin again with a click, and her voice was still very soft. Say it. Joseph couldn't tell. His expression became more frightened. You. Bang. Si fucking punched him in the ribs and said calmly, I asked you to speak, but you became mute. Puff. Joseph spit out a mouthful of blood and opened his mouth. You, indeed you are. This is the sense of oppression that Cloud9 can bring. What they were besieging turned out to be a real imposter. Bang. There was another punch, and Joseph's right rib was broken. Dean Dongfang also wanted to let Si fucking vent his anger, but he felt a little distressed. At first, he stood quietly and did not move, but suddenly he felt a feeling of heart palpitations. What a powerful mental storm. The spiritual storm is a magnetic field generated by the power of spiritual evolvers going berserk. This magnetic field is so powerful that it affects the brain waves of other people. If it is more powerful, it can even directly destroy the spiritual world of the evolver, which is more complete than brain death. 70 years ago, a transcendent grade spiritual evolver collapsed and went berserk. His loss of control caused 56 evolved people around him to die one after another. Dean Dongfang's expression changed. "Disciple, calm down, you." Ah! Joseph screamed and fell to the ground, bleeding from all his orifices. He is also a transcendent grade evolver, but he has no resistance to Sci-fi's mental storm. The other 3 people also fell heavily to the ground. But the mental storm did not stop. Instead, it became more and more intense. Even Dean Dongfang felt uncomfortable. He wanted to step forward and give Sci-fi a calming medicine, but due to the effect of the magnetic field, he was completely unable to get close. Dean Dongfang's face changed wildly. "This is bad." Buzz. The space twisted. A slender figure appeared. Dean Dongfang was stunned when he saw the man hugging the girl tightly. The mental storm was attacking him crazily, and fire even shot out of the air. Even his coat was completely burned, but he still didn't let go. "Ching ching, it's okay, Yu Zion hugged her and said over and over again, "It's okay, I'm here." What shocked Dean Dongfang was that the mental storm gradually subsided until it finally dissipated. This has never happened in the history of evolution. Sci-fi's hand trembled, and when she met Yu Zion's eyes, she was a little at a loss. "I'm sorry, does it hurt?" "It's not your fault. Only saints can control their emotions." He held her face and shook his head slowly. "Ching ching, none of us are saints." He asked himself that his emotional control had reached the point of perfection. But the Zhang family was destroyed, soldiers died in battle, and his sweetheart was dying and comatose, and he couldn't control it. "I can't control it because it's too important. Live your life again." Sci lowered his head and muttered, "You didn't scold me. I'm really not used to it." "When did I scold you again?" He raised his hand and tapped her on the forehead. "But I want to talk to you properly. If you are like this, you should have a good sleep tonight." Sci blinked. "Are you awake?" "After I wake up, I have something important to tell you." Yu Zion touched her head. "Go and rest first, and I'll talk about other things later." On the other side, Yejia. The order for the governor's election issued by the Holy Light Judgment also came into the hands of the Ye family. Under the instruction of the elders, brothers, and sisters, Ye Baking and Ye Zilan participated in the election for governor. Ye Baking looked uncertain and knocked on the table. "How is it?" "Master, I went to Yu's house to inquire about the news. There is no movement in Yu Huixu, and she is still in seclusion," the head guard said respectfully. "But even if she comes out, given her temperament, she will not participate in the election of the governor. The Yu family has always been used to keeping a low profile and doesn't fight for power much. But no one will deny the power of the Yu family. If you really don't have any strength, how can you stand firmly in the 4 major families?" Ye Baking was only afraid of Yu Huixu, but he did not take Yu Lingzhao into his eyes. It is true that Yu Lingzhao is also an outstanding graduate of the Inner Academy and an S-level evolver, but he is more than 8 years younger than him. With the same talent, the huge gap in training time is irreparable. "Brother, the Lu family will definitely not compete with us." Ye Zilan smiled and said, "King Yu and I will get married this year. When the time comes for the governor's election, the Ye family and the Lu family will fully support you. Then the Huo family is left." Ye Baking squinted his eyes. Originally, the Huo family only had one Huo Yangzing, but now there is another Xiaoyu, and it is difficult to deal with it. "Brother, don't belittle yourself." Ye Zilan didn't take it seriously. "Xiaoyu is young, what about Huo Yangzing? My subordinate reported that he has been chasing women recently, and he probably doesn't have time to practice, So don't worry. Only then did Ye Baking smile. Okay, I am determined to win this election for the governor. By then, we will be the only big family like the Ye family. The Huo family, Lu family, and Yu family all have to match their Ye family. I fucking slept for a long time, sleeping for a full day and night. Within the past 24 hours, Madame Huo had joined forces with Dean Dongfang. The Huo family and Eternal Academy are the main combatants. The Lu family also joined in, responsible for logistics and medical care. Ji Xingzi has also been living in the Huo family. During the day, he went to the Onmyoji Association to take over Tachibana Kenji's work, and at night he was trained hard by Yunmen. Brother Lu, I discovered something big, Ji Xingzi said mysteriously. I finally know who the 9th disciple at the top of the cloud is. She is a girl, very young, in her 20s. Lu Xingheng was a little surprised. Girl. He grew up in Free Continent, so of course he knew the legendary stories of these disciples. The disciples at the top of the clouds are all very mysterious, especially this 9th disciple. This 9th disciple came out after being imprisoned in the dark room of silence for 7 days. Not only was he unscathed, he was even in high spirits and directly eliminated a mercenary gang. It can be said to have shattered the worldview of many people. Later, even the Holy Light Judgment Office was unwilling to encounter this 9th disciple. So arrogant and cruel, she is actually a girl. Lu Xingheng nodded. If this news is released, Free Continent will be shaken. Everyone in Free Continent admires strength, and as a woman, she will be sought after by even more people. Ji Xingzi said, of course, I was lucky enough to see it by chance, but the top of the clouds has not been officially announced to the public. Lu Xingheng thought for a moment. I wonder if Yun Shangding will intervene in the governor's election this time. Hey, brother, you finally woke up. Ji Xingzi suddenly stood up. It really makes me anxious. I fucking looked at him, his fox eyes narrowed. What were you and Lu Xingheng talking about just now? The 9th disciple at the top of Liaoun, Ji Xingzi said with great joy. Brother, it turns out that this 9th disciple is a little girl. She is really powerful. I fucking frowned. Impossible. Why is it impossible? Ji Xingzi was a little confused. Look, this is a photo I secretly took of a woman. And this was brought back by the Lord of the Cloud Summit himself. It can't be a fake, right? I fucking had no expression on his face and said coldly, because I, your eldest brother, am the one on cloud 9. She exhaled slowly. Great, something is going to happen to someone. Xiaoxiang's double monthly ticket has started again. Those who have monthly tickets, please vote for Ching Ching and Your Majesty to support them. There are still hundreds of thousands words left in the main text, so you can leave a comment about what you want to see in the extras. See you tomorrow. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 907. There was a moment of silence in the hall. Ji Xingzi's hand shook and he almost threw the phone away. Lu Xingheng also took off his sunglasses and stood up slowly. He was also shocked. After all, it was 15 years ago when Cloud9's reputation spread. How old was Si fucking at that time? A small bean sprout. But when I thought about it again, everything made sense. Ever since he accidentally met Si fucking on the program The Birth of a Staff, Medicine, he could sense that she was unusual. She is like a bottomless pit, never knowing what other cards and skills she has in her hands. Brother, please don't scare me, Ji Xingzi stammered. How come you, Yunjiu, Yu Wu, this ghostly doctor? With a pop sound, his brain overloaded and he hit the vase. The whole person's eyes were lifeless and extremely dull. How could these famous beings become one person? But tracing back to the source, they can all be connected in series. Sci did not give Ji Xingzi time to think. She lifted him up, her voice was deep, and she said word by word, "Tell me everything you saw and heard." "What happened?" "It's just a coincidence," Ji Xingzi felt aggrieved. "Ancestor Yunmen has trained me too hard recently, but my ability has indeed improved, so I went out and gave it a try. At that time, I was only 20 meters away from the Lord of the Clouds and the impostor Yun Bubuledin, but they didn't notice me." "Brother, am I very powerful?" Sci glanced at him. "It's quite powerful. Yunjin is very powerful, especially the soul. Even invisible people cannot escape his perception." It can be seen that Ji Xingzi has indeed made great progress. "I swear, this is what I saw." Ji Xingzi suddenly slapped his thigh. "Brother, something bad is going on. Someone is pretending to be you. Is this going to kill her?" Sci hummed lightly, "You go about your business, I'll go out for something." After saying that, she walked out expressionlessly. Ji Xingzi clutched his chest and crawled back to the sofa with difficulty and lay down. "Brother Lu, since I met my eldest brother, my worldview has been going back and forth between being broken and mended every day." Lu Xingheng pressed his temples and sighed, "Who isn't?" After he finished sorting out these cases, he wanted to go back to Yutang to coax him. In the Huo family's conference hall, the sound of footsteps sounded, and Raphael was the first to jump in. "Hi, little junior sister." Sci sat at the end of the long table. "Everyone is here, sit down." Raphael. This feeling of oppression, why did he have the illusion that his junior sister was possessed by his senior brother? People from behind came in one after another and took their seats. "You all knew this early on, right?" Sci spoke calmly, looking at the senior brothers and sisters one by one. "Why didn't you tell me?" Yu Jian and Tan Jingmo looked at each other and instantly knew what Sci was talking about. They and Yu Xian planned to tell her about the matter after she had finished her recovery this time, but they never expected that she would know about it in advance. Raphael carefully reassured, "Little junior sister, don't be angry, we are doing it for you too. Look how well we killed with a borrowed knife this time." "I'm not angry." Sci suddenly smiled, "I'm not angry at all." She put down the cup and patted the table gently. "What do I have to be angry about?" Raphael breathed a sigh of relief, and just as he was about to speak, he heard a click. Kaka. A 10-meter-long table was shattered. Raphael's eyelids twitched and he couldn't help but wrap up his clothes tightly. This is the Chiliang mine. The third-ranked ore among the 8 mines, it is famous for its hardness. Its hardness is comparable to meteorite iron, so it is also bought back by big families for refining weapons. Now, they were gently broken into pieces by their little junior sister. Raphael looked at Sci who was very calm with a stiff expression. "Isn't this called angry? The strength is really good." Yunying crossed his legs and clapped his hands. He raised his eyebrows. "Are you sure you can beat Yunjin?" Sci was silent for a moment, but still shook his head. "No." Her impression of Yunjin was indeed scarce, and most of the time she only focused on his appearance. It's not because Yunjin treats her badly, but because her senior brothers and sisters are far more important in her heart than Yunjin. Not to mention yet turning the waves, Lu Qingning and Yu Huixiu. Among the several masters, she has spent the longest time with the Lord of Ghost Valley, and has long been in love with her father and daughter. Yunjin loved her very much, but he really didn't teach her anything. But sometimes too much indulgence can be a kind of destruction. "I'm not sure either." Yunying raised his eyebrows, "but the revenge organization must have made a plan against him, so there's no need to worry." "Revenge organization? This matter is not their turn." Sci's eyes were cold. "I want to solve it myself. Even if her body is no longer used, it is not someone else's turn to use it, let alone someone else's turn to occupy her identity. This incident was enough to completely cut off the master-disciple relationship between her and Yoonjin. By the way, don't forget, he knows your real name, Yoonying said lightly, but he has never cared about external affairs. Even if you are popular in the entertainment circle in the continent, your name cannot be spread to him. Middle. Sci-fi said lightly, then don't let him know my name before I complete my preparations. After a pause, she asked again, have you found out who the impostor is? No, Yoo-jeon shook her head, but she should be Yoonjin's lover. Sci-fi took a few slow breaths and calmed down before speaking, it's really disgusting. Little junior sister Yoonying suddenly looked at her and said in a gentle tone, we are all on your side. You are not alone this time. There are thousands of troops behind you. The top of the clouds has never belonged to Yoonjin alone. Wherever you are, that is our top of the clouds. Sci was stunned for a moment, senior brother, Yoonying clasped his hands, after all, you have my last name, so I have to take care of the children, right? Sci. Sure enough, she knew that she could never be moved in any way. Sci was deep in thought when she suddenly heard Raphael ask her in a solemn voice, junior sister, do you think this plot is familiar to you? Sci looked stern, what? Could it be that Laolu discovered something wrong? With his IQ. Demons, Raphael beamed, junior sister, you acted this yourself. I'm waiting to see the live-action version now. Don't let me down. Sci smiled, get out. If it weren't for the fact that Laolu would make money, she would definitely not be able to hold back her fists and beat Laolu into a third-class cripple. At this moment, on top of the clouds, Meng Suan-K asked worriedly, Master, the little junior sister hasn't woken up yet. Yes, Yoonjin shook his head, she was seriously injured this time, and there was nothing I could do for a while. Meng Suan-K pondered for a moment, disciple, I wonder if Master knows about the ghost hand heavenly doctor. Yoonjin paused and pressed his eyebrows, if you didn't tell me, I would have forgotten about him. Meng Suan-K was surprised, Master knows. There should be 2 generations of the ghost hand heavenly doctor, Yoonjin said. The first generation of the ghost hand heavenly doctor is an NPC from the Eternal Continent, and the second generation is a real person. It must be the NPC who accepted his apprentice and passed on the medical skills. So that's it, Meng Suan-K realized clearly, it's just that this ghost hand heavenly doctor is haunting, and I haven't been able to find out any information. But last year, the Ye family invited Chiu Sang, a disciple of the ghost hand heavenly doctor, to be the guest elder. Master, why not give it a try? Yoonjin was silent for a moment and finally said, then go to Ye's house first and call Chiu Sang to show Xiaju. Yes, Master, Meng Suan-K responded respectfully, Master, don't worry too much, my junior sister will be worried too. Yoonjin was stunned for a moment, she. The word stopped suddenly, and suddenly he remembered that Meng Suan-K was referring to Yuli. These things he did. No, Sci is gone, she won't know. Good morning. In the last few days of the month, Xiaoxiang's monthly tickets are doubled. If you still have monthly tickets, please give it to Ching Ching and your majesty. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Ching Qian. Chapter 908. Yoonjin also hesitated for a long time about putting Yuli's soul into Sci body. He also found several pure yin bodies for Yuli to use as bodies, but among these pure yin bodies, the longest one was only used for 4 years. More than 5 years ago, Yuli learned that Sci was killed in a bombing and that her soul was completely dispersed, so she came to him like a baby and begged him to let him repair Sci body so that she could live again. Yoonjin refused. Such an approach is undoubtedly breaking through his moral limits. But until a year ago, he found that it was completely impossible to gather Sci soul. In the end, he couldn't resist the temptation and chose this path. Yuli woke up with the help of Sci-fi Spotty. In this way, it was as if both of them were alive. He could lie to himself that Sci-fi was still alive. He is also a compassionate teacher. But during this period, his heart felt as if it was being burned back and forth on a raging fire, with a hint of panic amidst the heat. When he came out of seclusion, Yun Ying's words were still lingering in his ears. If Xiaju knows, she will hate you and stay away from you. If other people know, they will part ways with you. Yun Jin just told herself quietly. No, no one would know. But he couldn't deny Yun Ying's words. In this world, pride is the hardest to break, and will is the hardest to grind. If Sci-fi really found out, with her strong temper and pride, she would destroy everything. But he couldn't recall her soul despite all his efforts, and there was nothing he could do. Xiaju won't blame him. Master? Master, Meng Suankei's voice brought Yun Jin back from his thoughts. Master, what are you thinking about? Are there any other difficult things that need to be done by the disciple? No, no. Yun Jin shook his head and said in a calm voice, go to Yes house first and borrow Chiu Sang. Yes. Meng Suankei nodded and hurriedly left the top of the clouds. Huo family. Through the narrations of brothers and sisters such as Sci-fi, Yu Zian, and Yun Ying, the Huo family finally knew all the past events. Huo Tianwen's jaw dropped in shock. Ching Ching, you are too. For a moment, his brain CPU was on fire and was about to be scrapped. He became dazed. No wonder Yu Zian said that the top of the clouds belongs to Sci-fi. There are a total of 10 people on the top of the clouds, and there are 7 standing in front of him now. Huo Tianwen began to think seriously about a question. In fact, his niece was the real owner of the top of the clouds, right? The matter of Sci-fi's body being taken over in the past was explained by Yuan Mingqi, an Onmyoji master. The soul of the little junior sister is very interesting. After the explanation, Yuan Mingqi slowly spoke again. The soul of the little junior sister has become more solid after she borrowed a corpse to resurrect her soul. From the perspective of yin and yang and the 5 elements, if it is not your own body, it is impossible for the soul and the body to match 100%. Even if they are suitable, there will be a certain degree of rejection, but little junior sister does not. Sci-fi was suddenly startled. 5th senior brother means, this is my original body? Didn't I take over someone else's body? She has also been thinking about how she can come back to life 3 years later. She also asked Yunmen about this matter, but Yunmen also said that it was the first time she had seen such a thing, and she wanted to go back and read the books to study it. That's right. Yuan Mingqi nodded. After I met you, I began to study your so-called borrowing the corpse to restore the soul. It is not about borrowing the corpse to restore the soul, but the soul returns to the hometown and the intact jade returns to Zhao. Presumably the reason why neither Yun Jin nor I could detect the soul aura of the little junior sister during the explosion is because after the death of the little junior sister's body, all the soul aura returned to her real body. In this real body, part of the original soul and the returned soul are merged, so the soul will be more solid. Human beings have 3 souls and 7 souls, one of which is indispensable. If it is missing, there will be various disadvantages. There is also such a technique in the world of yin-yang and 5 elements, which can forcibly divide a person's soul into 2 halves and put them into different containers. But this method was too vicious and was permanently banned. Not all Onmyoji are capable of doing it. Sci-fi looked serious, because most of my soul was severely damaged, so I rested for 3 years. Yuan Mingqi smiled, not bad. How is this possible? Lang Xian frowned. If this is my junior sister's body, what about the occupied one? Yuan Mingqi smiled slightly. I have to ask my junior sister, I don't know. Yun Ying, who had been silent for a long time, finally spoke. You have no memory before you were 5 years old. No. Sci-fi paused and whispered, as soon as I can remember it, I was rescued by my sister one day while I was hunting in the sunset forest in the east of Free Continent. On the side, Uzian noticed her loneliness and touched her head. It's okay, I'm the same as you, ching ching. Si fucking blinked. Only then did she remember that Uzian was also adopted by the Yu family, and her origin was a complete mystery. She raised her hand and patted his head. I'm fine, you don't need to comfort me. Stop, it's forbidden to show affection in front of the elders. Yunying glanced at her. Yunju, please hold back. After the confusion in her heart was relieved, Si fucking also felt relaxed. She made a face and said, I know you are jealous of me. This Yunjin. What a sanctimonious and superficial gentleman. After hearing this, Mrs. Hua was trembling with anger. How could you do such a dirty thing? Yunjin's age is indeed a mystery, but she had already heard Yunjin's name when she was a child. It's just that there was no top of the clouds at that time. Yunjin has always been the symbol of the pinnacle of Free Continent, and because of his quiet and indifferent temperament, he also has a group of admirers in Free Continent. Xia Yangqiu had a bad temper. Mom, let's find a way to kill him directly. The position of the Lord of the Clouds is also given to Ching Cheng. Grandma, Aunt, I will take care of my own affairs. Si fucking raised his head. None of you should do anything about this matter. Mrs. Hua was stunned. Ching Ching, you. Yunjin behaves filthy, and I won't pay any attention to the relationship between master and disciple. Si fucking said lightly. Besides, when we were at the top of the clouds, I also saved his life with my medical skills, and I paid it back a long time ago. She is best at killing people and killing people. She will prepare a big gift for Yunjin and the lonely ghost. The next day, afternoon, night home. Ye Baking glanced at the time and picked up the teacup casually. I asked you to invite Miss Si, have you completed the task? The guard said respectfully, there is a small assessment in the inner courtyard today. Miss Si is in the inner courtyard. The captain has already gone. I will bring Miss Si back according to the young master's wishes. Okay. Ye Baking put down the cup. I want to see you invite her over before dinner, no matter what means you use, understand? The guard nodded and reported Ye Baking's order to the guard chief again. At this time, another guard hurried in with a very surprised expression. Master, Miss, someone is coming from the top of the clouds. What? Ye Baking's hand shook and he almost knocked over the teacup. Top of the clouds. Who is here? He is a young master I have never seen before, the guard said excitedly, but the identity can be proved. With the token from the top of the cloud, it cannot be faked. Quick, quick. Ye Baking also became excited. Zilan, let's go to the front hall now. Ye Zilan stood up in a hurry. Brother, I'm going to sort out my makeup first. She couldn't help but feel happy. This is the top of the clouds. If they can gain connections, the Ye family's power will go even further. We must entertain the distinguished guests at the top of the clouds well. At this time, Eternal Academy, the inner courtyard. Sister Ching Ching, my speed has almost caught up with Professor Lightning. Nianyan followed Si fucking with his skull bag on his back. When I surpass him, he will not be able to catch up if he chases me. Si fucking said lazily, my brother is really awesome. Sister Ching Ching, a moment. Nian Yan was about to ask him if he could rest for a while, but the road ahead was blocked by a group of people. The head guard took a step forward. Hello, Miss Si, our young master has invited you. Si fucking didn't even raise her eyes. Get out of the way, I don't like to say things twice. Miss Si seeing her attitude, the head guard frowned deeply. Our young master kindly invites you to be a guest at Yes house. Please don't be ungrateful. The Yin family, which cannot even enter the Free Continent, is just dust that can be brushed away in the eyes of the Ye family, the head of the four great families. What's so arrogant? You won't let me, right? Si fucking finally raised his head and nodded slowly. Okay. If you hit her muzzle, don't even think about leaving standing intact. There are still dozens of votes left to break 4,200. At the end of the month, everyone will vote for King Kingwei. The holes will definitely be filled. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 909. Si fucking threw the backpack hanging on his shoulder to Nian Yian and said, "Stand back." Nian Yian was already familiar with the series of operations, and immediately backed away with his backpack. "Sister Qing Qing, please." Whenever such a scene occurs, he knows that someone else has been deceived by his sister's pure, kind, and well-behaved appearance. His sister is an excellent inheritor of the Huo family's violent family tradition, and she has carried this family tradition forward to the greatest extent. The captain of the guard saw the girl's action and felt a little funny. "Miss Si fucking, you don't want to fight with us, do you?" In terms of bloodline, they were indeed inferior to Si fucking, and the guard chief was only an A-level evolver. But behind them is Yejia, the head of the 4 major families in Free Continent. Who would confront Yejia head-on? Isn't this just seeking death? That's wrong. I didn't fight you. Si fucking flexed his wrist and stepped forward slowly. "I beat you unilaterally." The students had been in class for a day and were mentally exhausted. At this time, when I saw a wonderful show, I immediately became energetic and gathered around. Look at the logo on the chest, it's the Ye family. How come Si fucking is facing off against the Ye family? Is it because she defeated the Ye family in the last assessment? If the Ye family blocks Si fucking because of this matter, it would be too small-minded. When the time comes for the governor election, I will definitely not choose anyone from their family. There were more and more people watching, and the head guard's face turned pale. His voice deepened. "Si fucking, don't toast and eat as a penalty. Do you think that with so many people watching, we won't dash?" Bang. The next words were interrupted by a loud sound. Si fucking put her leg on the guard captain's chest, leaned down slightly, and said with a half smile, "What did you say you didn't know?" The head guard's mind buzzed, and he didn't even react. He felt like the world was spinning for a moment, and when his vision became clearer again, he had been knocked to the ground by Si fucking. The pain spread along his spine, his body was stiff and unable to move, and his whole body seemed to be paralyzed. The crowd fell silent. After a few seconds, sporadic applause sounded, followed by thunderous applause. As expected of a goddess, she strikes swiftly and decisively. Whose bodyguard is this from the Ye family? Why are they so vulnerable? It seems to belong to Ye Baking. Isn't Ye Baking the next heir to the head of the Ye family? This is too weak. Heir? If the genius of the Ye family's turning the tide hadn't died young, 10 Ye Baking wouldn't have had it. The remaining dozen guards were not as advanced as the guard captain, so they were no match for Si fucking. Bang bang bang. There were several more loud noises, dust was flying, and people were lying on the ground in rows. Si fucking turned his head, looked at the last person, and said in a calm voice, "Get out." The only capable guard looked at her tremblingly, and almost rolled away. Law enforcement team Si fucking raised his eyebrows and spoke to a few young men in uniforms who were watching the excitement in the crowd. "We've got some work, take care of them." Several young men in uniforms just woke up from a dream and immediately stepped forward. Eternal Academy does not prohibit students from fighting among themselves, but encourages them. However, this does not mean that outsiders can bully students. They also rushed over after receiving the news. But when I first came over, I saw a piece of it falling on the ground. They began to wonder if the way they arrived was wrong. Nian Yian immediately followed his boss to help Cheng. He coughed lightly and said, "Sister Qing Qing, why did you let one go? It's best to send more people to leave a messenger." Si fucking picked up the bag again. "I've been itchy lately and I'm worried that I don't have anywhere to vent my anger." When she fell asleep, someone would always come to her door to bring her a pillow. Of course she would accept it. Let's go. I fucking patted Nian on the shoulder. You just said that your speed is almost as fast as Professor Lightning. I'll test your latest strength when I go back later. Nian. For the first time, he hoped that the Ye family would send someone over quickly, so that his sister would have a target to beat and he could be freed. At this time, Yejia. Upon learning that someone was coming from the top of the clouds, the entire Ye family's senior management came out to greet him. I am Meng Suanke, disciple Zingbo. Meng Suanke smiled and said, as ordered by Master, I came to your mansion to ask Miss Chiu Sang to go to the top of the clouds to treat my little junior sister. Mr. Meng is so polite. The head of the Ye family cheered up. Miss Chiu Sang was invited back by my son Bai Cheng. I will let him receive you right now. He winked at Ye Baking and asked him to prepare immediately. Meng Suanke nodded and sat down aside. A few minutes later, Ye Baking left and returned with Chiu Sang. Hello, Mr. Meng. He was very respectful. This is Miss Chiu Sang, the disciple of the Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor. She has learned deeply from the Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor's teachings and has extremely high medical skills. Meng Suanke looked Chiu Sang up and down, nodded slightly and said, thank you very much, Master Bai Cheng. Mr. Meng has come a long way, so why not leave after dinner? Seeing him about to get up, Ye Baking said hurriedly, I will send someone to send Miss Chiu Sang to the top of the clouds. Meng Suanke smiled again, there's no need to eat. My little junior sister is in urgent need of medical treatment. Master and I are both worried about it and can't wait any longer. Ye Baking was a little unwilling and asked tentatively, I don't know about Mr. Meng's little junior sister. The junior sister is the youngest, and we all take care of her. Meng Suanke said, she was seriously injured a few days ago. Master blames himself and takes great care of the junior sister. Ye Baking's pupils trembled slightly. It's actually the rumored ninth disciple? I wonder if I can follow Mr. Meng dash. Before he finished speaking, a guard stumbled in. Master. Master, something happened. He fell to his knees on the floor with a plop. Mr. Meng, wait a moment. Ye Baking said this to Meng Suanke with a smile. After turning his head, his expression suddenly became cold. I am entertaining distinguished guests, how are you looking so flustered? The guard said hastily, Master, you asked us to bring Si fucking back, but she was completely unreasonable and beat up the brothers. All the brothers have been taken away by the law enforcement team, and I am the only one left. Ye Baking stood up suddenly, what did you say? The guard lowered his head, young master, that's it? We failed to bring Si fucking back, and we have to ask you to go to Eternal College to pick someone up. A bunch of trash. Ye Baking looked cold, you can't even handle a transcendent grade, what's the point of raising you? The guard muttered, having nothing to say. Since Master Bai Cheng has something important to do, let's go and get busy. Meng Suanke stood up, I will take Miracle Dr. Chiu Sang to the top of the clouds first. Ye Baking hurriedly said, I'll let someone see Mr. Meng off. On the other side, the Huo family. Si fucking was sitting on the sofa, checking the online comments made by residents of the state about the election for governor. If it hadn't been for the Holy Light Judgment's order to elect the governor, I would have almost forgotten that the position of governor exists. The last governor was an insider of the Holy Light Judgment, but this time he allowed the 4 major families to participate in the election. I wonder who will take the position of governor? Whoever falls on it must listen to the words of the Holy Light Judgment Office. Is there any difference? SHH, how dare you say such a thing, be careful of being banned. Am I afraid of this? Look at my name. Si fucking's eyes moved to the nickname that made the comment. The nickname is Has Holy Light Judgment closed down today? 9102, 9102 represents the number of times the account has been banned. In the Huo family's presidential election this time, MRS Huo finally submitted the names of Si fucking and Huo Yangzing. However, the name given was not Sci-Fucking's real name, but the names chosen by the Huo family for their offspring long before Xia Yangqiu and Ling Hanyi were born. On the sofa, Yunying suddenly said, "There is interesting news, do you want to hear it?" All the senior brothers and sisters all looked over. Sci-Fucking also raised his head. "What?" Because the impostor was too seriously injured, Yunjin was in a state of panic for a while. Yunying said casually, "So I asked Lao Ba to go down the mountain and go to Yejia to invite Xiaoju's eldest disciple." He bit the last three words very hard, raised his eyebrows, and asked Sci-Fucking, "What do you think?" Yujian was surprised. "Xiaoju actually accepted a disciple?" "I can't tell. In recent years, because the ghost hand heavenly doctor has not been able to produce it, too many people have been cheating under this name," Yuan Mingqi said lightly. "It's just that the treatment method of the ghost hand heavenly doctor has its own style, and many people have been cheated by it." Exposed it, but Chiu Sang didn't, and was even invited back by the Ye family. "What's my opinion?" Sci-Fucking glanced at the north and wrote lightly, "Then let's go to the top of the clouds." Fighting counterfeiting is her favorite thing. Good morning. It's the last 3 days of the month. If you still have votes, please vote for Ching Ching. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 910. "I really need to go back," Yunying said calmly. After all, the little junior sister was seriously injured and unconscious. It really doesn't make sense not to go back and take a look. Sci-Fucking blinked. "Then you go first, Aju, and I will come later." Upon hearing this, Yunying gave her a meaningful look. "Okay, for the sake of your last name, I will set up the stage for you first." He waved to Tan Jingmo and others. "Let's go." Yujian stretched out, "It's time to practice your acting skills again. Who will go first this time?" Raphael raised his hand. "I'm just a theater goer." "You act, and I can be responsible for the investment." Tan Jingmo raised his leg and kicked him. "Stop talking nonsense and follow up." After the brothers and sisters left, Sci-Fucking took out the new tools given to her by the Lord of Ghost Valley and packed them all. She confirmed that Chiu Sang was from the Eternal Continent, and there was a 80% chance that he was one of the many chess pieces sent by the mastermind behind the scenes. "Brother Ninth," she raised her head with a solemn expression, "I need to go to Yunjin's retreat first to see who that lonely ghost is." Yes, Yu Zion's eyes closed, and when he opened them again, they were covered with ice and snow. "That's what I meant." As space system evolvers, the two of them reached the top of the clouds ahead of the 6 Yunyings. The mountain peaks reach into the clouds, and snow has fallen on them for thousands of years. Sci-Fucking raised his head, a little startled. 5 years later, she finally returned here. But I didn't expect it to be in this way. The scenery is very nice and the people are nice. Yu Zion suddenly smiled. "If you can't bear to leave here and let the upset people leave, you can build a villa here and come back to live occasionally." Sci-Fucking raised his eyebrows. "We can consider it." She pointed to the white patch on the top of the mountain. "I used to practice there. Sometimes when I got into trouble, I would be chased all the way to the bottom of the mountain by my senior brother. The top of the clouds is 5,500 meters above sea level and is the third highest peak in Free Continent." Yu Zion laughed softly again. "Yeah. He missed her past, but he will be involved in her present, future, and every second in the future." With Sci-Fucking and Yu Zion's current strength, they entered the top of the clouds without any hindrance. Still familiar scenery and familiar roads. Sci-Fucking took Yu Zion all the way to the place where she used to live. After her death, this place was classified as a forbidden area by Yunjin, and no one could enter. "Tisk, my flowers are all dead. It's really annoying." Sci-Fucking squatted down and poked at the hard soil. I'll have to plant flowers in the future. Yu Xian rubbed her head. Okay, let's raise some more animals, okay. Okay, it's settled. Sci-Fi's eyes lit up, let's find some puppies for Xiaobai to be playmates. U11 nodded, and he suddenly said, Ching ching, look dash. The evolver's ability was activated at this moment, and the space trembled slightly. A peach blossom garden gradually appeared in front of Sci-Fi's eyes. This is also a method for the ultimate S-level evolver in the space system, which can reproduce and transmit the scene of another space to the eyes. Sci-Fi could clearly see her lying in the ice coffin, eyes closed tightly, unconscious. Yunjin, on the other hand, was suppressing the injuries in her body. He frowned, obviously because her injury was very difficult. Yu Xian raised his hand and brought the scene closer. His eyes narrowed with a dangerous aura. Ching ching, how about it? Yuan Mingqi, Ji Xingzi, and Yu Jian didn't notice the difference between the fakes. But maybe this is where Sci-Fi's soul once lived. Coupled with Ji Chenyuan's teachings, she can now see the soul that lived in her former body. She is a very beautiful woman. Her long hair was disheveled, and she had snowy skin and red lips. She frowned, charmingly, with that fragile and broken feeling that men liked. Sci-Fi's pupils trembled slightly. It's her. This face was exactly the same as the portrait she saw in the Yu family pavilion. The former most beautiful woman in Free Continent. Jade, glass. Who? Suddenly, a sharp shout sounded. In the picture, Yunjin actually raised his head and looked in this direction. Kaka. It was also an instant of effort, and the space replica was shattered at this moment. Sci-Fi immediately grabbed Yu Xian's arm. Brother Ninth, let's go. U11 nodded and hugged her waist. The next second, the two of them were already 3,000 meters away. And just 3 seconds after the two left, Yunjin appeared. His eyebrows were cold and his brows were furrowed. He clearly felt that someone was spying on him, and he confirmed that there was indeed someone and chased him, but did not catch him. The only person who could escape in such a short time was a space system evolver. Is it a revenge organization or the Holy Light Judgment? Especially when he discovered that the place where the peepers appeared was Sci-Fi's former residence, he felt a strong sense of uneasiness in his heart. Yunjin pinched her eyebrows and returned to Yu Li's side. At this time, Meng Suankei also rushed back with Qiu Sang. Master, this is Miss Qiu Sang, the eldest disciple of Ghost Hand Heavenly Medicine he introduced. Let her take a look at the body of my junior sister. Yunjin raised his head and nodded slightly. Okay. Qiu Sang was stunned. Even in the Eternal Continent, she has never seen a man as handsome as Yunjin. She was a little nervous and quickly lowered her head, her cheeks slightly red. Ive met my lord. Yes, Yunjin's voice was warm and cool. There is still poison in her body. The Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor is the best at clearing away the poison. Please take a look. No, don't bother. Qiu Sang became even more nervous. Thanks to the teachings of my master, I am indeed better at detoxification. She put down her bag, took out a long box containing gold and silver needles and opened it. Qiu Sang picked up the needle and exhaled slowly. Just as she was about to try the needle, she suddenly heard Meng Suankei shout, "Elder brother!" She was stunned, turned her head, and her heart trembled again. Is this the top of the clouds all about appearance? Second senior brother, third senior sister, you are all here. Meng Suankei stepped forward. This is Miss Qiu Sang, who is treating the little junior sister. Tan Jingmo lowered his eyes and spoke slowly. Lao Ba, tell me what's wrong with you. His tone was calm, with no hint of emotion or anger, but full of oppression. Meng Suankei was stunned. Second senior brother, what does this mean? Lao Ba, you have always been responsible for the contact between master and us, and we also trust you very much. Tan Jingmo put his hands behind his back, his eyes cold. But why did you invite a fake to heal the little junior sister? You are so. Do you have a rebellious heart and want to kill your junior sister? Yoonjin raised his head suddenly, his eyes darkened a bit. Xianche, what's going on? He couldn't keep fucking, and nothing could happen to Yuli again. Master, my disciple has absolutely no such intention. Meng Xuanke immediately knelt down. It is impossible for my disciple to have any second thoughts about you and my junior sister. Tan Jingmo half smiled, really? Then why did you invite the impostor to come to the top of the clouds? Yoonjin frowned. Young master, I don't know what you mean by slandering me. Chiu Sang raised his head, neither humble nor arrogant. Although my medical skills are not as good as the master's, I still have the true inheritance of the master. You said that I am a fake, which is really too much. She put down the silver needle again. Since you don't believe it so much, I have no choice but to leave. Although Chiu Sang said this, she had no intention of leaving and looked at Yoonjin from the corner of her eye from time to time. A voice sounded lazily. Wait a minute. Chiu Sang was overjoyed, but found that the source of the voice was not Yoonjin. She was stunned for a moment, raised her head, and saw a man in a black cloak walking over slowly. I couldn't see her face, but judging from her body shape, she was a girl. Raphael's eyes lit up. Junior sister is here. A true actor. He doesn't have to act on top anymore. You don't have to go, Ji, haven't you received the true teaching from your master? Fucking crossed his arms and stood in front of her. I will watch you treat, and I can give you some pointers if you make mistakes. Chiu Sang's pupils shrank suddenly and sneered, okay, you said I am a fake. It turns out that I have found someone to pretend to be my master. If my master finds out, he will definitely not let you go. But her palms were sweaty. The ghost hand heavenly doctor has not appeared for a long time. She has settled in Free Continent under the title of Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor's disciple, and no one has ever questioned her. Moreover, the Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor must be an old man. How could he be younger than her? Chiu Sang was not willing to accept it at all. She looked at Yoonjin. I respect you as the Lord on the top of the clouds, so I came to heal your beloved disciple, but you let your disciple insult me and the master. What do you mean? Yoonjin did not look at Chiu Sang. He pursed his lips and looked at fucking intently. Fucking raised his eyebrows even higher, clapped his hands and said, the one over there, yes, I'm talking about you, the one with blonde hair. Raphael was watching a play and was suddenly called by name. He was startled. Me? Do you have any photography equipment? Fucking snapped his fingers. Here it is. Connect to the entire Free Continent network and prepare to broadcast live. Let everyone see who is so shameless and pretends to be my apprentice. Raphael. He really laid out all the photography equipment. Fucking suddenly raised his legs and said coldly, kneel down. Chiu Sang suddenly knelt on the ground with a bang sound. At the same time, the live broadcast starts. Fucking faced the camera and nodded slightly. Hello friends from Free Continent, let me introduce myself. I have a very good nickname, called the Heavenly Doctor with Ghost Hands. I'm really sorry. The old man at home suddenly left at noon, which caught me off guard. I'm still in a mess now. These 2 days will be very busy. The update time will be unstable, but there are still 2 updates. Thank you for your support. See you tomorrow. After having everything taken away, she returns as a god. Author, Qing Qian. Chapter 911. Netizens who entered the live broadcast room were stunned after hearing this sentence, and they could only type a few punctuation marks with shaking hands. Wait, I went to the wrong place. Heavenly Doctor with Ghost Hands, is it the Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor I know? It's fake in my mind. The Heavenly Doctor with Ghost Hands is just a vicious old man. How come he's a woman? Returning to the top of the clouds this time, fucking did not deliberately disguise herself from beginning to end. Although the black cloak covered her face, It did not conceal her figure. It was a woman unintentionally. And judging from his voice, he is also extremely young. No need to ask, it must be fake. The reason why there is a ghost in the name of the heavenly doctor with ghost hands is because he appears and disappears. Which big shot will sign up live? Isn't that Miss Chiu Sang, the guest elder of the family? What is this place? At this time, Meng Xuankei's voice sounded, suppressing his anger. Your Excellency, what are you doing? Do you want to go against me, the top of the clouds? Top of the clouds? The ghost hand heavenly doctor has reached the top of the clouds. Wait a minute, isn't the ghost hand heavenly doctor just a doctor? I haven't come out for a long time, and more people are using my name to cheat. I fucking still looked at the camera and said calmly, I'm in a bad mood. When I'm in a bad mood, I want to kill someone. There was dead silence. Chiu Sang was forced to kneel on the ground, her brain buzzing. Such a series of operations by Si fucking was completely unexpected by her, but she still refused to admit it and said angrily, you are not my master, you are slandering me. My good disciple, why don't you even recognize me? Si Fu lowered his head and said, I taught you the 7 needles of ghost hands. How are you doing? Show it to me. The 7 needles of ghost hands is the exclusive secret skill of the heavenly doctor of ghost hands. It was developed by the Lord of Ghost Valley and passed on to her. This is also the only way for the outside world to identify the ghost hand heavenly doctor. The reason why Chiu Sang was able to hide it from the Ye family was because she had used the so-called 7 needles of the ghost hand once. Chiu Sang's expression changed drastically, and she said with a serious expression, the 7 needles of the ghost hand are the secret of our sect. How can we expose it to the public at will? Really? Si fucking leaned down slightly, patted her face, and said in a gentle voice, then my teacher must not have taught you that these 7 needles can save people, but they can also kill people. And your master and I are better at killing people. Chiu Sang was stunned. Before he could react, several key points on his body suddenly hurt. 7 silver needles sank into her body at the same time at a speed that was difficult for the naked eye to detect. She let out a heart-rending scream. Meng Xuankei's footsteps were frozen in place, and his pupils suddenly shrank. It turned out to be really fake. The live broadcast continued, and the people in front of the screen naturally saw Si fucking's move. Did anyone see how the silver needle flew out? I am blind. When you are my apprentice, you have to steal people from the king of hell. Si fucking said in a cold tone, how many patients have died under your command? Chiu Sang curled up in pain and gasped, unable to say a word at all. But the physical pain was nothing compared to the panic in her heart. She has been using this fake identity to stay in Free Continent for nearly 5 years, and during this period, the ghost hand heavenly doctor has never appeared. Why did the heavenly doctor with ghost hands appear just when she was taking the road to the top of the clouds? From now on, the Free Continent includes several continents outside the continent. Who dares to say that it is me and my disciples? Si fucking raised a finger and smiled, oh, of course, you can continue to speak, but I heard you, don't blame me for coming to find you. Through the camera screen, everyone can feel this strong sense of oppression. At this moment, no one would doubt her identity anymore. By the way, I'm a woman. Si fucking snapped her fingers, if anyone calls me a bad old man, I will come to see you, that's it. The live broadcast ends. At the same moment, the Holy Light Judgment Office. Adrian watched the live broadcast clips repeatedly with a solemn expression, and felt a bit incredible. The ghost hand heavenly doctor took the initiative to expose himself, just to clear his name. You are so down to earth, but you also know how to live broadcast on the internet? The commander of the cavalry on Monday considered it for a moment, seeing as her temper is not very good, this behavior is understandable. I thought that there was a heavenly doctor with ghostly hands, I didn't expect it to be a little girl. No. No, Adrian suddenly objected, With her heaven-defying medical skills, not only her appearance will last forever, but also her appearance will last forever. It is possible to regain youth, but age is still unknown. The commander of the cavalry on Monday said respectfully, "The head of state means." Yunjin hired a fake to treat the fake, which obviously angered the ghost hand. Dr. Adrian snorted slightly, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Maybe I can make a profit from it." The head of state is wise. Monday cavalry chief clasped his fists, "I will send an invitation to the ghost hand heavenly doctor and ask her to come to the Holy Light Judgment Center to meet the head of state." Adrian nodded, "Go ahead. This way, on top of the clouds." Sci clapped her hands, "The one with blonde hair, put your things away." Raphael worked hard and packed up all the camera equipment. "I'm sorry, Your Majesty," the ghost hand heavenly doctor. Meng Suanke stepped forward and apologized very much. "I didn't know that the person was an imposter and I offended you. I'm really sorry." Sci said casually, "There are too many imposters. You can't tell. It's normal." Meng Suanke was stunned for a moment, and out of the corner of his eye he saw Yunjin frowning, and quickly said, "I wonder if you can give it to our junior sister." Okay. To his surprise, Sci agreed, "Lead the way." Meng Suanke nodded, "This way, master." Yunjin seemed to have just come to his senses and nodded lightly. In the peach blossom spring, Yuli lies in an ice coffin, unconscious. Sci waved his hand and made a few swish, swish, swish sounds, and several silver needles sank into her body. At the same time, she held her body's wrists down. After trying it, Sci's eyes darkened. She had just used silver needles to fix her body and tried to pull out Yuli's soul, but found that she couldn't pull it out. Yuli's soul power is very strong, and after Yunjin's careful conditioning over the years, it has almost become one with this body. She had to go to the Eternal Continent to find Yunmen and continue to practice the art of soul. "No matter what, I have to drag Yuli out of this body." Sci silence made Meng Suanke couldn't help but ask, "May I ask your excellency, my little junior sister?" Hearing this, Sci took back his hand. She slowly turned her head and looked at Meng Suanke calmly, "The soul has not been damaged at all. This soul has been well nourished." Meng Suanke breathed a sigh of relief and smiled, "The little junior sister is the master's treasure. The master specializes in soul cultivation, so naturally she must take good care of her. That's it. Don't worry about your physical injuries. Just take the medicine." Sci raised his eyebrows and smiled slightly, "It's just that I found that the soul and body dash." Before he finished speaking, Yunjin interrupted the sentence, "Thank you very much, Miss Ghost Hand Heavenly Doctor. This child, Xiaju, has died once before. It is thanks to your help that he can escape death this time." Sci didn't look at him, just turned his back and said slowly, "It turns out he died once, no wonder." Her heart was very calm at the moment, without any disturbance. Yunjin didn't hold much weight in her heart. But she always respected her teachers and regarded Yunjin as her elder. She originally wanted to give Yunjin a way out, but Yunjin stopped her. "Very good. This last chance is gone." Yunjin's eyes suddenly trembled. In addition to spiritual training, Yunjin also has extremely strong mental power and has extraordinary telepathy. At this moment, he felt some kind of panic burst out of his heart, and his heart dropped suddenly, as if something unpredictable and uncontrollable had happened. "I had this feeling a few days ago, but it wasn't as strong as it is now." Sci took back the silver needle and said calmly, "I don't like you here, so I'm leaving." "Wait, you dash." As soon as Meng Suanke started to speak, the girl had disappeared. He looked at Yunjin, "Master, this." Yunjin frowned, "You guys are watching from here." The next second, with a swish, he disappeared from the place. Tan Jingmo's eyes changed slightly, and he looked at Yun Ying. The two of them quickly followed Yunjin. At the same time, Si fucking felt the fluctuations in space. She turned her head and saw Yoonjin's figure rushing towards her. He extended his palm, aiming for her cloak. There is a cold murderous intention in the palm wind. Want to kill people and silence them. Si fucking turned around, his eyebrows extremely cold. Palms facing each other. Bang. Yuzian took back her hand and said in a cool tone, looking for death. It's been a long time since your majesty's highlight, so I'd like to give your majesty a vote today. Xiaoxiang double monthly pass, 1 vote is worth 2 votes. In the next 2 days, we will send out express delivery for everyone's surroundings. Babies with a lot of surroundings will receive 2 express delivery. Thank you for your comfort. Well, I have always understood the principle of life and death as usual, but people really cannot control their emotions. I hope everyone is healthy and happy.